Good day. Let's briefly explain what just happened. So, blue screen again. Quite heavily debugged it this time. So it looks like it relates to either file corruption or possibly an issue with WSL. There's definitely file corruption. I've run a scan and repaired a bunch of them. There's definitely a bunch of updates being applied to our WSL Linux as well. WSL Linux, our WS Linux. So that's all been updated. And ran a bunch of Windows updates just in case, but I don't think it's that. Hopefully we'll get some stability this time around. And this time it didn't look like it was anything to do with Node. So maybe there were two issues at play. First time around it was Node and now it's something else. But yeah, this time it was pointing towards like a sys file of some kind. If it happens again, I'll have to continue to debug it. But maybe we've squashed the issue for now. I guess we'll find out pretty quickly. I also deleted a bunch of local files that were in this directory, and I can't really work out what they were doing there. So, and you can see me running through all the upgrade and update commands. Let's try a build. Let's hope this builds, because I've just removed some stuff and upgraded. Well, there we go. That's the first problem. mkdir dub package. Let's try that again. Okay, it's looking a bit better. Generated. I don't know why it's generated these test files. This feels like something I've done. This feels like something I've done and completely forgotten about. Why would it be creating GZ files? These must be being copied from somewhere else. Have I left them up in this package directory? Yeah. That's simple, isn't it? Let's get rid of those. They don't need to be there. So we can get rid of these. Great. Let's run that again. Great. Minimize that. So we should see locally. Oh, interesting. Site can't provide a secure connection. Very interesting. So check that. HTTP localhost 8080, localhost 8080. So this probably means one of my updates has broken things. I wonder if we need to add like a Windows firewall exception or something. Something similar. Windows Defender firewall. Allow an Apple feature. There's loads of stuff in here, isn't there? There's 3 nodes for a start. I remove these, change settings. So let's remove these node entries. So I did that. Close that. Try this again. I'm expecting it to pop up with a firewall alert. If it doesn't, then what I'll do is aha, there we go. Allow access. Time. Still nothing. Alright, it might have been that I had to allow access, and now it's allowed access. This might work. Oh no, I've genuinely broken it. Oh, hang on, that says HTTPS. That's meant to be HTTP. There we go, that was simple. I've also, where do we get to? Format. So we had this, I think, looking the same as production. And these worked as well. Yeah, okay, so I think it's time. I might have already committed these before the crash, actually. Let's just check. So if I have, then we can move on to that download. No, I haven't committed it. We can see I haven't committed it. Well, let's commit it. What's our message going to be? Refactored page to use struct. Struct in a loop. Good stuff. Okay, the other thing is, there's no tests in here. There should be a test in here, really. Where did we borrow? Was it? It wasn't that one. It was probably the perfect page. Is there a test in here we can just borrow? I'm a fan of not typing. So this is not that. This is a format test. Format utils. I think it was singular. Yeah. I can have autocomplete, please. That would be nice. Yeah. Formats. And then I'm going to assert equals. Well, let's check like something small like the second one and the 11th one. And we're checking digits, but let's check something else. I don't know. Let's check prime factors or something. So prime factors on the 11th one would be, oh no, let's do it the other way around, because that's just a bit large otherwise. Don't want to copy too much down here because it won't make any sense. Yeah. Second prime factors. Probably that one. Just grab that as a, grab the whole string. Grab the whole string. And the 11th. We want the number of digits, which should be 617. And if I run cargo test, it should just work. Hang on a minute, that says perfect. I mean, it'll probably still work, but that's not quite right. Formats. Just do a base on all of that. Place all. Test failed. Say it ain't so. Can I have a bit more debug? Yes, please. Left returned 17 P7. I probably copied it from the wrong row, right? 17. So yes, yes. So let's correct that. That should be 17, the 7th prime. Save, rerun, and our test should be good. They are good, right. Added unit tests for format. Let's push that up. Really? Yeah, should be good. The upstream branch of your current branch does not match the name of your current branch. That sounds terrifying. What branch does it think we're pushing to? .git. If I go into config on here, am I going to regret it? No. Oh no, that's not good. Surely it should be specifying another branch. Push to the branch of the same name on the remote, use that. Choose either option permanently, see push.default in git help config. I wonder if it's just upgraded git actually. As part of all those updates I ran, I bet it did. Push.default. Push only the current branch. Well, that makes sense. So it's better in my opinion to use this option and push your code branch by branch. Yeah. Git push. I'll do it one last time. Git status. What does it think the upstream branch is? Why are we committing to master? Oh, I really hope we haven't been committing to master. That would be frustrating. Not the end of the world, but it would be frustrating. Let's crack open a pull request. Sure, yeah, create a pull request. We can sort that out in a minute, but guess we can check Travis. Let's see what our build server says. Branches. So it's been building against master 2 minutes ago. And if I go to commits, I bet that's got some from today. Yeah, that's not good. So not only did it commit to master, it also possibly was a broken deploy. No, okay, live site's still good. The joys of being the only developer on a project. If only I had somebody to approve my commits, so then I could disable my admin privileges. Okay, we don't need this page anymore. I do want to fix this though. I don't want to have to run that every single time. There should be, I guess, a setup stream. Git setup stream. Origin. Okay, so I think that's what we're going to need. So they're getting frustrated because they have to set this thing. Shortcut, which doesn't depend on remembering the syntax of git branch set upstream, is to do this. Interesting. Okay, so I've got to remember that for next time. Try this. Set upstream, my branch. Origin / my branch. Okay. Origin. Oh, what is going on? Thanks for the follow. Thank you very much. Digital Sanctum, thank you very much. Origin. I hope you're finding the stream fun / useful / something. I thought that would do it. Set upstream option is no longer supported. Set upstream 2. Okay, they upgraded stuff. Origin streaming September 14th doesn't exist. I beg to differ, because I'm pretty sure we just... I'm pretty sure we were... Yeah, there it is. Did I misspell it? Streaming September 14th. Streaming September 14th. Okay, did I get the syntax wrong? Origin slash, that's the right slash, yeah? There's a space here, there's a space here. Set upstream 2. So branch origin slash streaming September 14th does not exist. Maybe it's a single argument now? Nope, not saying branch stream as its own upstream. Do I have to create an upstream? Oh, you're doing C# game coding. Very nice, very nice. And you're a Rust novice. Well, I think I'm really a Rust novice as well. I still haven't finished reading the Rust manual, so I think that's a rite of passage for most people. Apparently the last exercise in that is to build like a multi-threaded HTTP web server, which I thought was pretty cool, but I'm nowhere near that at the moment. As you can see, I can't even get this to push correctly. Oh, I see. Elsewhere you see all the C# game programming. Yeah, that's true actually. I guess there's not many people doing Rust. That is very true. I might be alone in that, at least on Twitch. I think it will go that way though. I think eventually people will probably do a bit of a shift across to Rust. How long it will take, I don't know. And they'll probably run side by side forever. I'm sure C# will always do some things that Rust won't, and vice versa. Or they'll just end up all doing the same thing. I am not sure what to do with this. So I was really hoping git set. Let's go back to the error that we were getting. So fatal branch does not exist. Git set upstream branch does not exist. Lost the ability to type. There we go. When pushing new branch, this branch does not exist. Go back up to the last good push we had. Feel like it's forgotten all of our history going on. There we go. Git push. Yeah, that just reckons to do that. I mean, that was 2015. Fine, I'll do that for now, because interesting. Let's try this command. What could go wrong? Copying a random git command from the internet. What could possibly go wrong? I'm just going to read through that. So this is git push. Upstream is origin. Then we are getting the head revision. That worked. That's quite nice. Alright, so then if I do a git push, I'm going to get status, it should show that we're not going to master. Nice. Okay, that was a lucky random copied from the internet command. Right, so we're pushing to the right place. We've added a unit test. Just check we're still able to build locally. Yeah, we are. And whilst that's going on, check this still works. It does. Okay, so the next thing that would be neat to do is, at the moment, these text files are quite literally on an S3 bucket. So they are just text files on an S3 bucket. And I think we can generate these procedurally with Rust, so that, and actually the top two don't even exist. So that I guess it saves a bit of bandwidth and a bit of storage. And I've got a file here to do it. File? Function. I've got a function here to do it. So save as file. So this was one I wrote. This was a bit of train coding. So whilst I was commuting, I was writing this. So it takes a file name and the contents, and it generates a tag that looks like it's got, yes, of course, I remember now. So we're basically inlining the data for the file. So I think we could do something here. If we call save as file first of all, and we replace these download links. So we want a file name. So to begin with, I don't know, let's call this, I'm going to call it digital after the last follower. Thank you, Digital Sanctum. Let's call it digital. And the file contents, let's, to begin with, just give it the second half of the last follower's name. And it's complaining about something. What's it complaining about? Cannot find function save as file in this scope. Oh yes, that's because it's part of the Fermat utils module. Couple of Zs, send everyone to sleep. So you mentioned you were a novice Rust programmer. What sort of stage are you at with it, and what do you find interesting about it? Mismatched types. I expected a string, but it found a reference. Okay, fair enough. So I think it's a string from, and then we just specify these. I've been experimenting with different ways of turning string references into string. I guess this is a string struct. And I think I like string from. I think that's probably the tidiest looking one. Alright, let's see if this compiles. And check this page. I'm also just quickly going to close the production one, because the number of times I've looked at the production one and got confused why it hasn't worked. Okay, well the good news is, I think... Okay, so that gives us a file called digital. Okay, so the next thing is to call it .txt file. Compile it again. Ah, you're coming from the Java world. Yeah, those are all good reasons for using Rust. It's the speed. It's the speed and the safety, isn't it? It's that winning combination. Okay, so now we end up with a text file. Failed? Oh no. Failing every time. I'm gonna have to crack open the network tab and see what's going on here. Close that for a second. How do I get... Oh, there we go. So we've got digital.txt. Oh, of course. I bet if it's a file download, it doesn't actually show up in the network tab, unless there's some. Is there some magic I can click to make that happen? I bet there isn't. So it says network error. More information. You get an error message from Chrome when you try to download apps, themes, extensions. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and suggest it's probably my code that's to blame here. We're going to have to work on this I reckon it's something to do with this. You're in the head banging against the compiler phase, are you? Yeah, it's if you've got anything, you know, if you've got any compile errors that are driving you mad, feel free to jump on stream and shout. You know, put them in the chat. I'm happy to help as best I can. I had one the other day actually. I was stuck on it for about 20 or 30 minutes, like midstream as well, and it was to do with lifetimes. It's to do with these actually. And I was really confused because I had my return format here, or my return signature here, saying, "Oh, we're going to return vectors of format structs," and I was really confused about this bit. And I figured out that I needed to specify a lifetime operator for. I think that's what they're called. For I can't even remember now. And the bit that I was really stumped on was this bit. So I had to put the same syntax over here in order for it to actually compile, and I was so confused. It was actually somebody on the stream that was reading the manual that sort of copied and pasted something out of the manual in the chat and got me out of that. Just realised we can probably note that out now. There we go. So what are we going to do? So data text plain. So I think that's right. Let's have a Google for. I say a Google. I need to use a different. What's their? They call it a ducket. DuckDuckGo. DuckGo. I need a verb that's not. Yeah, okay, let's not go down that route. What are we calling this? So data text plain. I guess this is this a header at this point? Guess it is. Data URLs. This is useful. So yeah, data text plain, and then you can choose to base64 encode it. Or in this case, they haven't actually specified anything at all. So semicolon there for when we've base64 encoded it, but a comma there for when we haven't. So perhaps it needs a comma. Give this a recompile. If this begins to work, I'm going to be really quite excited because this is not a heavily used website, but the bandwidth fees are the biggest part of it now. And although these files are quite small, there's some other files on this site that we can procedurally generate that are significantly bigger, like 40, 50 megs. Moment of truth. Oh, that might have worked. Brilliant. Okay, we can now generate text files on the fly. That is brilliant news. Time for a commit message, I think. Hope you don't mind. Your Twitch name is going to go into the site's Git history. Let's go back to the last decent commit message here. So added first. I guess it's the first attempt at generating a file purely with Rust. First attempt of Rust generated file downloads. And I won't include you in the log message, but no, I will actually. Let's do that. Let's include you in the log message. File name hard coded to digital sanctum content. There we go. Named after our viewer. Does Control R not work? Oh, it does. It does. I'm just being really daft. I'm very glad you said that, though. What did I do? I didn't end the... There we go. Yeah, no, you're right. I should definitely be searching and spelling things right. I thought it was only a couple up. It's one of those things, and it's sometimes if it's like 1 or 2 key presses up, I think I'll just push up. But you are right. Maybe I should just use Control R every time. Probably quicker. Probably quicker from muscle memory actually if I do that. Okay, so we've got this doing a download, which is, as far as I'm concerned, great news. I guess we want to generate the file name on the fly now. So we've got download txt. So this isn't needed, surely. But this bit is. We could duplicate this line. No, we could just change it actually. Download file name. File name. Let's take this. And I think really we can get rid of all of that. Yeah, so this is taking a vector of 3 strings, so the character f, then the, well, whatever it is, nth, format, or no, just number in this case, bolting text onto the end, iterating through it, and then collecting them all together, so we should end up with a single string at the end of that. Let's see how that looks. Let's compile. That's curious. Oh, no, it's not. That'll be the errors where I killed off the local server. That's what that'll be. Okay, so now if we hover over these, we should see... Oh no, we won't see anything. I have to click on them. F11, F8, F1. Okay, so we've got the file names all good. Now we need... we don't need that anymore. Oh, you know what? Maybe we need to put this inside a TD as well, because I've just thought we're probably just throwing an A tag in the middle of a table. Let's fix that very quickly. Rebuild. This was a useful bit of documentation. Okay. I think the spacing just improved. Cool. Well, the downloads still work. So now we need to sort out the contents. We need to work these out on the fly, and I remember there's an equation that we were doing. So the equation was it was 2 raised to the power of all of that, pretty sure. Yeah. Right, let's see if that errors. Okay, it does. Probably not enough close brackets. Whoa, nowhere near enough close brackets. And this has got upset because I hard coded a 2 and it's probably going to be moaning, doesn't know what that is. What kind of 2 is it? Hang on a second. So expected U32. This is where I have to do this So this is one thing I do find quite frustrating with Rust. Is I don't feel like this line is particularly clean, and I have no doubt that there's a clean way of doing it, and I just don't know what it is. But once I fix this error, I'll try and make it a bit at least nicer to read. But at the moment, we're dealing with the fact that we're doing a type conversion from U60 or from U size to U32. Although, so where's the? Okay, I think I need to move one of these brackets. I think this needs to go before this try. Hello, P704. P704. Is that a number? I don't know which one P704 is. 704th prime. Okay, we need to figure out why this is so upset. So formats. So you got all of that. I think that just wants that. No, okay. So this is another case of mismatched types. So what's mismatched about this? Oh, I see. This needs to go in there, reasonably sure. Okay, now we're not using the value. Let's put this in here. See what we end up with. String from, yes, I'm probably gonna, I think I can quite simply run toString on a number most of the time. And we might not even need to do the string from now. Yeah, seems to have compiled. Right, let's rerun it. I'll be amazed if this works first time. This isn't going to work first time. 2, 4, 16. So what we should be seeing is the first one should equal 3. And the second one should equal 5. But I think I forgot to do a +1. That's all it is. Yeah. So genuinely, I think I just need to +1 on the end. And then I'm going to try and tidy this up. Oh, hang on a second. Something weird's going on there. That's equal to 3. That's equal to 5. I can see, I don't know if you can see on the screen. I don't know how well this is streaming with the really tiny font in the status thing that appears here. But yeah, if I click this, this F2 now equals. Did that say F2? So the third one up says it should equal 17. And if I open that, it equals 17. Okay. So that's fine. Then we get, is that 65,537? I think that might be the maximum value of 32 bits. And then it overflows. All of these have overflowed. Well, that's a shame. So 2 is U size. So I feel like 64 bits should be enough for all of these. So let's break this down. Hang on, formats.length -1 -n. Oh, that's fine. So let's take this bit out first of all. I'm just going to call this nth format because that's really what we're doing. We're getting the nth format. So let nth format, and honestly I'm quite happy with that being a 64-bit integer. Could even argue it could be a 128-bit integer. Found usize formats.length. I'm imagining probably formats.length is probably returning usize. Cannot resolve because it doesn't know. Okay, right. Okay. Time for some type conversions. But not right this second. See if that at least. Okay, let's get this clearer, then we can faff around with type conversions. Let's get rid of this extra bracket here. So nth format, try into unwrap. This is challenging at the very least. I think no, that's too much. That. Yeah, that. So I think we're saying the nth format to oh, this is really confusing. Really confusing. So we're saying 2 to the power of this number. But for some reason, we're limited to 64 bits. Let's say, where are we using 2? We're using 2 here, right? So let's create another one of these just for a second. Let's call this like, let's use some 128-bit integers. And I'm going to call it U128. I know you shouldn't need to do that, but just for the moment, temporarily, we're going to say what kind of type it is. And then let's use this one and this one as U128 and change this. Actually, you know what? That's compiled. Let's just see if that... Surely it's not that simple. It might be that it's now converting everything quite happily to 128 bits. Yeah, I think it is. Okay, but that still only gets us so far. So we then exhaust 128-bit integers by the 6th format. So the next thing we can do after 128-bit integers is we're using sort of a super large integer library. I think it might be on the prime page. Yeah, definitely is. But I just remind myself where we're using it. So I think big int, right? Apparently we're only using it there. It's unexpected. Normally Rust tells you if you're pulling stuff in that you don't actually need. I bet if I delete that, it'll then suddenly say, oh no, I was actually using that. See if any errors crop up over here. No. Let's see if that still compiles. I'm really surprised. Normally Rust says when you're using crates, or when you're saying, oh, I need a crate, it normally says if the you know, if they're not actually used within the file. It's pretty cool though if we got to delete 2 or 3 lines of code. And then go over here. Just want to check that that page still works. Hang on a minute, why are we taking so long to compile all of a sudden? Took a whole 9 seconds. And this still seems to work. Great, nothing broke. Ooh, something broke. That should have been rendered up there. Bit weird. How many times did I click? Too many. Too many. Okay. Anyway, so the point is this file does not contain the large number format thing that I was after. Maybe it's Cruncher. I know one of them does. Yeah, here we go. So here we're using, within the module, we're using these. So this doesn't actually need to be in the module, this can just be here, outside of the module. And then somewhere, if I search for big int, there we go, that takes a string. I think we can just do, yeah, big uint as the type. So where we were previously doing 128, I think we can just now call that big int. See what we get. Okay, that's currently erroring. Expected struct found integer. Yes, so when we're initializing these, I'm reasonably sure we have to use something like this. So there's a couple of structs that are supplied with the big integer library. And you've got a few options. You can use, like, I think there's a 0 and a 1. But you can see here, if you want to set it to something else, in our case 2, we then have to call to big uint, which will return an option, either OK or error, and we can unwrap that, essentially saying, we think it's going to be OK, just pretend it's going to be OK, give me the number assuming that it's OK, and that correctly sets it. Curiously, then we run into this issue, and I think this has also been solved in this other page as well. So in this case, we're using a power function rather than, yeah, so we're doing an answer to the nth power. So in this case, I think we can call the power function and add a comma and put the too big int at the end. Okay, so that's got rid of the first error, so we can just rinse and repeat on that now. Take the power function and find where that ends here, and again call the second function, call the second argument rather. Oh, it didn't like that. Mismatch types, expected usize but found struct. Oh, that's because nth format is not a big integer. So let's just call it a 2. Is that cool? Cannot infer, must be known, the type must be known at this point. Okay, let me just Control Z back, because the first one was fine, it's this second one that's not so good. So this, we can go back to our regular old 2. No? Oh, it's really hopeful. Mismatch types, expected U size, but found a struct. So you did. Just check out Cruncher again. So answer, which is a big uint, to owned. I wonder why it has to be owned to go into power. And actually, okay, let's bear that in mind in a minute. And n, where is n? So n is U size. N is always U size, right? So actually, this should be a 2 as well. But we're saying the thing on the left needs to be a big int. Well, the problem is, currently it's not. So we need to take nth format and probably turn that into a big int and unwrap it, rather than specify any old integer. Mismatch types, expected U32, but still found a struct. So, okay, we're going to go back again and turn this on its head as well. And instead of having 2.power, we can just pass 2 as the second option of power. Alright, let's just try into unwrap. I don't know if we need that now. No, we don't. Okay. Okay, it's arguably slightly easier to read, but it's still not the greatest thing to read. Let's recompile that. Let's see if this works up to a... Oh dear. No, it doesn't. So here it errors. Format.value cannot infer type. So really here we need to specify the type of this as big uint. That's really what that should return. I'm also surprised that didn't error in the editor. Normally it gives you a nice heads up. Okay, so what are we dealing with here? So we're not using num or to primitive or 0 or 1, so that's just a warning about stuff we're not using. Cannot add an integer of 32 to a big uint. Oh, of course. So here, I'm reasonably sure we can do this, and that will get rid of that error. Or not, but let's see if it errors with the same thing. Type annotations required, cannot resolve adding a big uint using the standard addition operator against pages cruncher big int, big uint. Well, the other thing I could do is add a 1 and then convert that to a big uint. Don't really, I mean, I guess it's readable, it just doesn't feel very nice doing it that way. Alright, there's a couple of things not in use. So apparently we managed to do all of that without actually needing this new variable, so we can ditch that. And also if I go up here, only one of these is used, so let's simplify things. Okay, give that a recompile, and this time I'll actually test it. So that reckons it's going to have a 1, that reckons it's going to have a 2. That doesn't feel accurate. So we're saying 2 to the power of 1 is 1. No, 2 to the power of 1 is 2 plus 1. So the first number should be 3, but we're saying it's coming out as a 1. Then the second number we're saying is coming out as a 2. Then the third number we're saying is coming out of 17, which is accurate. So it only begins to be accurate on the third one. Did we get our equation wrong? There's a +1, so is this sometimes coming out as a 0? So our function should be 2 to the n plus 1. That's it, right? Super simple. 2 to the n plus 1. So we work out what n is. Nth Fermat. Guess we could take that and dump that up here, but that doesn't feel very nice. So Fermats.length, so there's what, 11 of them? 11, but there's a 12th. The 12th minus 1 is 11, and then the first time round minus 1 again. This doesn't seem right. So Fermats.length, we're saying there's 12 Fermats. So the first time round we would be saying 12 minus 1 minus 0, which is, you know, basic maths is 11. So and that's fine, okay. So that works out. And we got an integer overflow on that one as well. Yeah, something is not right here. Just check we're using this. So we've got Fermat, so Fermat value, sorry, Fermat value to string. So that I think we can presume is okay. Here we're saying this. I'll tell you what, we could add some debug to this. In a rather cheeky way, we could add nth Fermat and just check that the numbers look accurate as we go down the list. I guess we're just expecting it to go from 11 to 0. Okay, that reloaded. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so we can confirm that this counts from 11 to 0. Fine. So when this is 0, and we're expecting it to come out with 3, we've got 2. Oh, you know what? You know what? We've got the first one the wrong way around. We've got the first one the wrong way around. It should start off as a 2 to the power of whatever comes out of this. Question is, will this compile? No. Okay, so we're back to the mismatch type complexity. But that's okay. So, and then the reason I think it's okay is because we can take our 2 and convert it to a big int, and I think that will get rid of the error. Nope. So we have to just do it to a usize, which I think should be okay. No method named to usize found. That is true. So instead of a to usize, we had something else earlier. But it's going to be buried in my history. Where would we copy that from? Or where did I copy that from? Maybe it was the perfects. There was a function which I can't remember the name of. A really handy little function though. Might have been in Cruncher. It's like a convert or a... Oh, we're using a 2U size there. What did I... Why would that not be available? That is curious actually. Why would that not be available? 2U size, because it is U size. We don't need this. It's already the right thing. Okie doke. Let's rerun this. So I think because we're starting out with a big integer and then we're powering it with a number that is essentially a U size, then we're adding a 1 that's a big integer to it. I've got a good feeling about this. Okay, so the first answer is 2. And 2 to the power of 1 would be 2 plus 1, so we're already off. We're off by 1. Second is equal to 3, which is actually the answer of the first. Are we... Interesting. So this says it should be P17, which is accurate. This says it should be a 5, which makes sense. This says it should be a 3, which makes sense. But yeah, these are off by 1. But then it suddenly starts working. So we take 2 and we take the nth Fermat. Hang on a minute. It's not the nth Fermat, is it? It's going to be... Yeah, this bit's not quite right. So we've got 2 to a... Yeah, this bit's not quite right. So the nth Fermat... Curiously though, that's looking pretty good for the top one. How many digits does it claim? 617. Nah, it's still not right. That's still not right. So I think something's wrong with the power. That's what it is. At least we don't have random overflows and other problems like that at the moment, but yes. So let's do this. Let's manually work this out. So the first one, we're saying to number 2, to the power of, because that's basically what all this faff is doing. Nth Fermat. I guess at the nth Fermat starts off as 0, because nth Fermat is... It's in use here, right? Oh, try into, that was the function I was trying to find earlier. Yeah, so at the very first case, that would be a 0. 2 to the 1 plus 1. Although we have... What is this? This is 2 to the power of that, and then we just plus 1ing to the very end of this. Okay, I think we can be fairly certain that the first bit is accurate. So I think it's got to be this bit that's wrong. So this should be the nth Fermat would first, would be 0 to the power of 2, which of course is going to come out as a 1, I think, or something that is not the right answer, except it is the right answer. And then we're going to take all of that and we're going to add 1 to it, because that's what this does over here. So 2 to the 1 plus 1. And I'm pretty sure 0 to the 2, I'm pretty sure that comes out as a 1. No, why did I think that? I mean, 1 to the 2 would come out as 1, but 0 to the 2, of course that comes out as 0. So I'm gonna get rid of the -1 for a second, but I really don't think that will necessarily give us the correct answer. But let's try it. Let's try it. See how quickly that breaks down. Okay, so that comes out with a 3. That makes sense. 2 to a 1 plus 1. The next one I would expect to be a 5. It's already jumped up to 17. But P3 is a 5. Maybe we need to do something special for the first one. So, guess if nth Fermat is 0, then we're going to add a special case. We're going to say we're going to set this here, and then we're going to say else, and we're not going to generate another variable in another scope. Let's not do that. Instead, we're going to say, we don't need to retype it. We're going to say Fermat value equals, what do we say? Do we say 2? Do we say 2? The first one? Yeah. So that's the second. What? No, it's 3. It's 3. Of course it's 3. Okay. And that's probably going to complain, saying I was expecting a large integer and a big integer, and you've given me a standard one. I'm even less happy with this now. I've had to put an if statement into it, but let's just see if the first one needs to be a special case. So not like a, feels like there should be a Fermat formula. Fermat's little theorem. No. So it comes out as a 3. That still comes out as a 3. Then that comes out as 17. And this one comes out as 513. So it should be as simple as 2 to the 2 gives you a 4, 2 to the 3 gives you an 8. So it should just be that whatever number is over here is what we feed into the nth power of this. So is it that we need to swap these two round as well? So this becomes nth Fermat 2, and then it might error, in which case this has to go back to being, no? Is that's okay. That's okay. And let's run that. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I'm maybe being daft with this formula. So if anyone has any suggestions or laughter. So that's a 3. Then we're expecting a 5. This is looking good. Then a 17. If I go to P7, that's a 17. P55 is 257. So that should say 257. This should say 65,537. Okay, I think we've cracked it. And then these start to get pretty large, very large, very large actually. Okay, let's see what this ends up being. So this should be about 617 digits. I think that probably is 617 digits. I guess we could test it by going to the downloads folder. Get some information on that. 617 bytes. 617 digits. Okay. That's technically working. By technically, I mean definitely. That is definitely working. So can I get away now with having that all as a single formula and not needing that special case on the 0? Because I might need the special case on the 0. I'm okay with that. Comes out as a 3. Great. The P2 should be a 3. I'm going to hard refresh that. Comes out as a 3. Yeah, okay. Great. We can commit that now. Might leave that in actually, because it's true. 2 to the n plus 1. Ah, it's not in, is it? It's not. Get rid of that. Do a quick get status. Oh, we changed that other file, didn't we? What was that? That was prime. Let's commit this file first up. Here's one I prepared earlier. So text downloads are now procedurally created by Rust with correct data. We can say format. How do you spell procedurally? I feel like it might not be. Procedurally. Yeah. And the exact file that we want to commit is actually source. Oh, that's a bit upset, isn't it? Source, pages, archive, format. And then well, no, I didn't forget to close the quote. Maybe it doesn't like the exclamation marks. Maybe that means something special. And then the other thing we wanted to commit, or I needed to commit, was removing superfluous mentions of external crates. Unused external crates. So I don't know if I've still got the same viewers, but what projects are you building in Rust, or what do you want to build in Rust, or what would you rebuild in Rust? This originally started out as a PHP site that was heavily serverless using AWS Lambda. It cost far more than it should have done each month, and then rewriting it in Rust, the bandwidth bill is significantly lower. CPU bill is now 0 because it's compiling to WebAssembly and running browser side. What would you rewrite? Cool, let's push those. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm very chuffed that we managed that. I feel like that's quite a large step forward. Genuinely means I can begin to delete files off of that S3 bucket. So let's head back to GitHub. Go to those pulls. Streaming September 14th. This is pull 45. Head on over to issues. So this is fixed by pull 45. And yeah, we can say format txt downloads are working in this way as of PR 45. It's curious, what's the correct format? It says PR. Yeah, comment. Yeah. Brilliant. So what now? What now? We should see if any of these builds are actually likely to build. Let's check out our continuous integration, see what's going on. Oh, that's okay. So that passed. That was okay. And thinking on it, I wonder if our code cover's changed. Interesting. No posts from code cover at all. Not what I was expecting. I would have expected like a large post in here from CodeCov. Curious that there's none. Let's see. Right. Starting to feel like I've been sat here for maybe slightly too long. Might have to get up and move around in a moment. Oh, okay. One of my that's curious. One of my other Travis CI jobs failed earlier. Wasn't expecting that. All I did was add something to a markdown file. Just whilst that is doing its thing, I'm just going to whack this over this side of the screen. Okay, so we're waiting for this build to finish. Whilst that's doing its thing, let's go back to... Oh wow, I really need to change that smug shot. I don't like that. One I use on Twitch is a little less painful to look at. Yeah, so I added this blue screen of death stuff earlier, and apparently, in doing that, look at this. I broke Travis over there. What did I break? All looks good so far. I've installed some stuff. No, it was installing Firefox and then just failed after 10 minutes. Oh, I remember now. I remember. I had this set up so that we could automatically install loads of Windows apps. Well, I'm not gonna do anything with that today. But I bet we ended up breaking that somehow with just waiting too long between commits. I bet the syntax has changed on Chocolatey, or maybe the Firefox version it was trying to install isn't a thing anymore. Bet it'd be something like that. Let's head back up to build 330, see which others are nearly done. It's quite a difference between stable, beta, and nightly. Wonder how long did it take? How long did it take to load the cache? 22 seconds to load the cache. And I wonder how this took. 38. There's a bit more cache. It's just super slow. I guess the last nightly must have been oh, you know what it would be, of course, it's nightly, right? So it's probably just not compiled all of these and cached them, whereas stable and beta, we've probably still got cached builds from last week. Forget that every time. Okay, good. So it's now actually going to start compiling our code instead of dependencies. Oh no, I was wrong. Compiling heck. Gotta be careful when you're naming things. Right, time for a quick drink, I think. There's a lot of waiting. A lot of waiting when you're trying to deploy things. I've got a feeling that this could be a 10-minute deploy. Yeah, 9 or 10 minutes I reckon this will take. Well, I don't know about that, but saying that was going to take 9 or 10 minutes, we lost some viewers over that one. Maybe I won't spoil the surprise in future. Maybe I did. Actually, I guess I did some viewers a favour, right? If you didn't want to wait around for 2 minutes while something built, I've just done you that favour. Oh, that looked good. Must be nearly there. And you know what else we should do? I've just seen it. This is the last time I'm going to let this slide. I'm gonna create a ticket for this fixed version of this package. Fixed as in held back, not fixed as in functioning correctly where it previously wasn't. I'll just check it's not already listed. I don't think it is. Moving. Yeah, so now if I'm gonna create a new issue. So Rust package, Rust seed package is held at specific commit revision. This here, so this needs updating to What does it need updating to? This needs updating to use a tag, use a version tag, not a specific commit hash. Labels. What do we want to give this? It's not really a bug, but it's going to bite us at some point. And then I guess it will create a bug. Your reaction. I'm not going to react. How are we doing? That's looking very promising. Oh, and yeah, 17 tests have passed. Good, good, good. Clearing the cache. Lots of clearing the cache. Changes detected. Pack in new archive. Okay, as soon as that's done, I reckon it will kick CodeCov off. We'll get our coverage report I was interested in. Just checking. So I'm just checking Twitch actually from my phone whilst that's doing its thing. Oh, there we go. That's gone green. That's finished. So now CodeCov should kick off. Booting VM. And that was strange. It's like the house just shook. Which is not something that normally happens, just to clarify. That's very much outside of the norm. Sorry, that was a Twitch advert playing on my phone. Try and decide if we should tackle one more thing. Say one more thing. That's not like an ultimatum. We could do several. Once this is done, it'll be in a deployable state. It feels like a good place to deploy, actually. Gonna be like really verbose output for a bit. Crazy verbose. I wonder if we could do things like generate the fav icon. I wonder if we could generate a fav icon entirely with Rust. Or robots.txt for that matter. Or even the CSS files. Maybe that's taking things too far. Feels like it's probably taking things too far. I just really want to get that Rust bar to 100%. We look at the pretty close. No, it's not. We're still 5.5% off. We'll get there. Okay, we've got one green tick, another one pending. Really want to see what percentage we get out of this. Maybe we should do something else at the same time. I'll look at issues again. Didn't want to do anything with that one. I guess, you know what, we could see what happens if I remove that constraint of being fixed to that particular commit. I was about to do that in Vim, that's completely unnecessary. Let's go to cargo. So yeah, so we're using David O'Connor's version of Seed. Let's have a look and see what versions. Let's have a look and see what versions we got on there. 21 releases. 4.1. Things are moving on. Place text, add text, node methods. He's adding all sorts of stuff. Great. So I said, yeah, we need version 4, which isn't released, but now it is. On cargo test. Wow, that didn't go well. So yeah, that. Oh no, that wasn't too bad. So the value of the associated type app_ms from the trait seed orders from the trait seed orders from the okay, there's a bit of recursion there. Trait objects without an explicit din are deprecated. Use din orders message. Okay, where is that? So is that in lib? Probably in lib. I don't know where this is. Yeah, it is. Line 50. So is this saying we just need to add a din? This is a new Rust keyword. I don't know what that means. But it does break stuff. What if I do what you say? It breaks stuff. Expected trait, but I found a struct. Okay. So we were using those orders must be specified in here as a struct. No. No. Okay. So what does this mean? The value of the associated type. Well, now that I've changed that one file, let's see what happens. I think we get less errors, or maybe just one really fatal one. Associated type must be specified, must be specified, must be specified. Let's have a look on their website. I know they've got a quick start version. Like seed.rs or something. Seed.rs. Front-end framework for Rust. Yeah, so here, if they've updated this with a better example. So we were using function update. I'm reasonably sure this is like a standard from their example. Yeah, so they're using implied orders or implicit. Don't know what that keyword is in Rust. Implement. Maybe implement something. I'm not sure. So that looks okay. I'm guessing that that's not going to make it any better though. So expected, and so this is the somewhere we're using seed app build. This is line 142. Oh, okay. Yep. Seed app build expected and a function once closure but found model. So again, I suspect the signature of that function has changed. There it is. So seed app build. Yeah, they are using a slightly different syntax. now. Well, no, not syntax. That's the wrong word. Okay. Different arguments. The arguments have different types. Oh wow, that looks like it might actually compile. It did, and the test ran. Brilliant. Let's run it locally. See if it just continues to work. Hard refresh. I'm going to hard refresh this a few times. No. No, I say that doesn't work because if I hard refresh format, that shows us the news page. So although this is compiling, we are no longer correctly passing the page. That's a shame. So maybe that's got something to do with the view. So no, it's got nothing to do with the view. Success level, no. Could be to do, let's check this. Hang on a minute, we've got an error here. Expected trait but found struct orders. This probably means I think this is going to mean that we are using stable for our syntax checking, but actually we should be using nightly. No save buttons in this, is it? It's just automatically saved. Keep thinking I can hear something. Might just run a cargo build. Bog standard cargo build. And with a bit of luck, that pull request will be in good shape. It is. Code coverage is up a whopping 0.1%. Good stuff. That's terrible. Right, cargo build. That runs. But an even cargo test works. This is why functional testing is important. But then yeah, if we rerun this, there's nothing in the output there that suggests anything's gone awry. A couple of warnings, which we usually get. That's totally normal. Yeah, then it builds the local node server. At some point I need to replace that with something other than node. And then if I go to archive format, it loads up the news page. You know what I should do? I should see if there's an error. That'd be a good idea, wouldn't it? There is no error at all. It's interesting. So there's no error. So this suggests that, I mean, the fact that it's compiled means there probably wasn't ever going to be an error, but this simply suggests that one of these functions handles like taking the URL. I think it might be this one, routes. Let's have a look at their routes example. Oh, there's no routes example. Go to their routing page, routes. So we've got URL, seed URL. Curiously, they're borrowing it. It returns a message. And they're using URL.path. So that's seemingly not changed. Hey B, how you doing? Seen your message or your emoji. So that's seemingly not changed. I don't think this can be the problem. In fact, I'm surprised that it's even compiling with that in place. Yeah, expected. That's curious. So that's line 144. Expected a struct, but it got a borrow. We go back to the render page, or the page with the render example on it. So okay, that's not a good example. So it's got to be this. So for roots, we're just passing roots. Yeah, it's URL, the seed URL. Roots doesn't come from anywhere else in here. Mismatched types. Expected a struct seed URL, but it found a borrowed seed URL. Reporting due to previous error. So it's possible their documentation's inaccurate. But where does roots even come from? We've got a render function, and then roots just magically appears. Might be a expected function pointer, but found a reference. Ooh, a function pointer. Okay, so what's a function pointer? Function pointer, I'm guessing, points at a function, which is this. So for roots, we're passing in a roots function. We're using message to change page, so that's still the same. Right, looking at this, their examples are different. That suggests that actually one of these is out of date. Okay, let's read the changelog. I don't enjoy reading changelogs, but I think we're going to have to. The right thing to do. I could just find the right place. There we go. Keep going back. David O'Connor. They go to their releases. So we essentially jumped from almost 0.4 to 0.41. So they've added breaking change. Lots of breaking. Message mapper now accepts closures. That's nice. Orders is a trait now instead of a struct. I don't think we're using it. More element macros for SVG. Some bug fixes. And here, this is non-breaking. Any open issues? Someone in chat asks, what is WASM? It's WebAssembly, shortened to WASM. Any further questions? I think that's not the same issue. Okay, I'm not necessarily sure how we begin to debug this. Normally, if something has passed the compiler, I mean, if it passes the compiler, it's normally fine. So going through roots. minimize some of this stuff, get it out of the way. So this is still outright errors. Okay. All right, I think this might be a good time to stop. Because I'm not sure how to debug this. Probably need more Coke or something. Coca-Cola, just to specify. Let's deploy the changes that we did make. Pretty sure we pushed everything apart from our current changes, yeah. So let's do that very quickly. Merge pull request. Boom. And hopefully that doesn't take out the live site when it finally deploys. That'd be good. Prime. So I guess it'll be the formats page that we should see some extra things. The downloads appear. Then I can delete those S3 files and call it a day. Look. Pull requests. Build history. Should have a build going on for the master branch. There we go. Alright, so that'll run CodeCov again, then it will run deploy, and hopefully the site will be updated, I don't know, 5-6 minutes, 10 minutes tops. But yeah, I think that's where we'll stop for today. Thanks everyone, every two. How many people we got watching at the moment? Got a few. We got a few people watching at the moment, but yes, thank you everyone. Maybe back online later, but it's getting slightly late here now. But so if not, tomorrow or later this week. Cheers all.